police report said the radio station burned down 27 years ago. Everyone who worked the night shift died in the fire. The building was abandoned, electricity disconnected, equipment destroyed. But every night at 2:13 a.m., a signal still broadcasts from inside that station. And 3 nights ago, that signal said my name. Midnight shift. My name is Ethan Walker, and I work the midnight shift at a small radio station in Cedar Falls, Oregon. If you've ever driven across rural America late at night, you know the type of station I'm talking about. Old rock music, late night talk, truckers calling in from lonely highways. It's quiet work, sometimes too quiet. My shift starts at midnight and ends at 3 in the morning. Most nights nothing unusual happens, just music, ads, and the occasional sleepy caller asking for a song. But 3 nights ago, something changed. At exactly 2:13 a.m., every light inside the studio flickered. The equipment hummed loudly. The phone line rang. I figured it was another caller, so I pressed the button and answered. WGRV Midnight Line, this is Ethan. But nobody replied, only static. Then suddenly, a whisper came through the speakers. Slow, cold, barely human. Ethan, you shouldn't be here. My hand froze above the console. I hadn't even introduced myself yet. I checked the caller ID. Instead of a phone number, the system displayed something strange. Source: Tower 3. That made no sense. Tower 3 had been shut down since 1997. Actually, the entire old broadcasting station connected to that tower burned down that same year. 5 employees died during the fire. It was the biggest tragedy Cedar Falls had ever seen. At least that's what everyone says. I sat there staring at the screen. Maybe it was a glitch. Maybe someone hacked the line, so I ignored it, played another song, and finished my shift. But the next night, the same thing happened. At 2:13 a.m., the lights flickered again. The phone rang again. This time when I answered, the voice returned immediately, but it sounded more urgent, more afraid. Ethan, leave before he finds you. The call ended before I could respond. Now I knew something was wrong. The next day I started asking around town about the old station. Most people didn't want to talk about it, but an elderly janitor named Frank finally told me the story. The fire happened during a late-night broadcast. 5 employees were working inside. Around 2 a.m., the building suddenly caught fire. By the time firefighters arrived, it was too late. Everyone inside had burned alive. The official report said the cause was electrical failure. But Frank leaned closer and whispered something else. Some folks think the fire wasn't an accident. I asked what he meant. Frank glanced around nervously before answering. They say someone locked the exits. A chill ran down my spine. That night during my shift, I couldn't focus. Every second I kept checking the clock, waiting, watching. Then the time came. 2:13 a.m. The lights flickered, the phone rang. Slowly, I picked it up. Who is this? Static filled the line. Then the whisper returned, but this time it sounded desperate. He's still here. Ethan. Then the line cut out. My heart pounded. If the signal was coming from Tower 3, then it had to be coming from the old station, the abandoned one in the forest. I tried convincing myself it was a prank, but curiosity is a dangerous thing. After my shift ended at 3 a.m., I grabbed my keys and drove out to the old building. Part 5: The Abandoned Station. The road to the old station was narrow and surrounded by thick pine forest. Fog hung low between the trees. The headlights barely cut through the darkness. After 10 minutes of driving, the building finally appeared, or what was left of it. Blackened walls, broken windows, half the roof collapsed. Police tape still hung around the entrance, faded and torn. But something immediately caught my attention. A dim red light glowing from inside, like equipment still running. That was impossible. The building had no electricity. Yet as I stepped closer, I heard something faint. A radio signal broadcasting. The front door creaked open when I pushed it. Dust filled the air. Everything smelled like burned wood and rust. Inside the control room, old equipment sat covered in ash. Microphones, tape recorders, broken chairs. But one piece of equipment was still working. The broadcast console, a single red light blinking, recording. Then suddenly, I heard footsteps, slow, dragging. Behind me, I spun around. Nothing, just darkness. Then the console speaker crackled. The whisper spoke again. "He knows you're here." My heart raced. "Who?" I asked. But the speaker stayed silent. Suddenly, an old tape machine started playing by itself. A recording echoed through the room. It sounded like a broadcast from the night of the fire. A man's voice shouted through the speakers. "The doors are locked. Someone locked us inside." Panic filled the recording. People screaming, glass breaking. Then another voice shouted something terrifying. "He's doing this. He's burning the station." The recording ended with horrifying screams. Then silence. I felt sick. Someone had trapped them inside. This wasn't an accident. It was murder. The warning. As I turned toward the wall, I noticed something written in the dust. 3 words scratched deep into the paint. "Don't trust him." Below the message were 5 burned handprints, the same number as the victims. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind me. The room went dark. Then I saw him, standing in the far corner, a tall figure, his skin charred black, clothes burned into his body. One of the victims, or what remained of him. The ghost slowly raised his arm and pointed behind me. The real monster. I turned around and nearly screamed. A man stood in the doorway holding an axe, the station's night security guard, the same guy who worked at my station today. He smiled calmly. "You weren't supposed to come here." My heart pounded. "You started the fire," I said. He shrugged. "Insurance money." Then he added something worse, and nobody believed the ghosts. He stepped forward slowly, raising the axe. But suddenly the air grew freezing cold. The ghost moved. Faster than anything I'd ever seen, the guard was thrown across the room by an invisible force. He screamed as something grabbed him, dragged him across the floor, straight into the recording booth. The door slammed shut. His screams echoed for only a few seconds. Then, silence. The final broadcast. The radio console suddenly powered on. Lights flickered wildly. The microphone activated by itself. Static filled the room. Then the whisper returned. But now it sounded calmer. Almost grateful. "Thank you, Ethan." The ghost slowly faded away and the equipment shut down. The red light disappeared. The station went dark again, like nothing had ever happened. Ending, I quit my job the next morning, packed my things, left Cedar Falls forever. But sometimes late at night, when I'm driving alone, I I turn on the radio, and at exactly 2:13 a.m., through the static, I hear the old broadcast again, calling out new names, waiting for someone else to answer the last signal.